Journo's back again, and for only the second time this season in the Premier League, we're talking about an away win for Newcastle United. 3-1 here at Villa Park tonight. Real return to form for Eddie Howe's side. Impressive all over the park, I thought. And yeah, Jordan, great way to build on what was a positive win at Fulham, despite not being a real positive performance, but they certainly got that tonight.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know, you were probably the same, Dom. I just didn't see Newcastle United getting a result here tonight.
Certainly not a win. No. Certainly not a convincing win.
No, I was offering me predictions last week, and I think I predicted it, even before the game, actually, you, Dom, I think I'll say it out loud, I think I predicted a 3-0 defeat for Newcastle, but little did I know it was the other way. Obviously, Aston Villa did score at the end, but no, it was an incredible performance. Of course, it's probably the best result of this. Well, is it the best result of the season? Probably, I'd argue
in the Premier League.
Yeah, I would argue it's the best result in the Premier League. It's certainly the best result away from home, given that they've only beat Sheffield United prior to this. But no, I just thought from the start, Newcastle looked like a team that we all recognised from last season. It was a really quick start, and I think you turned to me in the press box, Dom, and you're saying we've got a spell here. But hopefully Newcastle can make it count, because ultimately Aston Villa would have a spell too. And I just thought Newcastle asked lots of questions of the Aston Villa defence. I thought the balls into the wide areas, like your Gordons, who I thought was really good today. Jacob Murphy down the right hand side as well. You had Isak, who was sort of interchanging between the central striker role and the left hand side before he came off. We'll come on to that, but I just thought Newcastle asked a lot of questions of Aston Villa, really exploited that high line, but ultimately the two goals didn't come from Newcastle United exploiting Aston Villa's back line. It was the two corners, and Fabian Schär, I've always described him as a maverick defender, capable of scoring goals, great goals. But yeah, two to his name today. The first finish, actually, I think he deserves a lot of credit for, because I think it came to him quite quick, actually. He managed to stick out right leg and put it in the bottom corner, and then it was a straight that instinct finish to react quickest to the Anthony Gordon shot. That was, I think, it deflected off an Aston Villa defender, and I think Martinez ended up clipping onto the ball, but either way it fell in the path of Fabian Schär, and by that time, that away end, which I don't think is behind us on camera, but over that far stand there, I looked over and there was absolute limbs in that away end, shall we say. And yeah, again, going back to our conversation during the game, I think you said to me at half time, Newcastle probably do need a third here, and they got that straight away. Miguel Ramon, I just want to give a special mention to him, actually, because all the speculation that's been surrounding his future. He was ill at the weekend, as Eddie Howe made it clear. He was genuinely ill for the weekend, but today described as a player that was at 50% fitness, had to come on in the 43rd minute because of that Isak injury, and I just thought it just summed Miggy up as a player, an ultimate professional, and just gave everything he could to the team. And it was his assist, thinking up with Gordon down the left hand side there, that I'd say put on a plate for Jacob Murphy, but I think he tried his best to actually miss it, didn't he? Because he's almost hit it back across goal, and it's ended up hitting off Alex Moreno and going in. And from then on, you felt the game was over. But the introduction of Leon Bailey down the right hand side gave Dan Burn nightmares for about 15 minutes of that second half. But a special, well done Eddie Howe, because he recognised the problem, when in previous games we have probably criticised Eddie Howe for not recognising stuff in game, but today you've seen that Leon Bailey had the freedom of that right hand side. Dan Burn was struggling, but he took off Lewis Murray, brought on Tino Livramento into that midfield, and ultimately Leon Bailey was nullified, and Newcastle in the end saw out the sort of very deserved victory. And I think you look at that 90-minute performance, I say probably the 15 minutes I mentioned there, Newcastle were pretty faultless, Dom.
Yeah, pretty good value for the win, as you said, and as Eddie Howe said after the game. It was very much a throwback to last season, the intensity, how they came out from the very start, and as the away team just put Villa under the cosh and really asked questions of them. I thought it was really, really positive from Eddie Howe's side, and I thought the one it's not a criticism as such, but it's something we probably expected. Unfortunately, Newcastle were 3-0 up at this point, but just tiredness in the second half did sort of kick in a little bit. Villa got the goal, but then credit to Eddie Howe, he saw the issue, changed things, and then Newcastle saw the game out with relative ease in the end, despite Villa pushing, and Newcastle could have grabbed a fourth. Sean Longstaff had a great chance. Miguel Almiron and Bruno involved in that as well. Fabian Schär could have had a hat-trick, which would have been incredible. But yeah, there was a slight spell where Ollie Watkins pulled the goal back and then scored about 2 minutes later. And fortunately, it was offside. I think if that had gone in, it would have been a very different end to the game, because Villa have not lost here, or had not lost here, since February last year, almost 12 months. And when you're in that sort of atmosphere, you've come from 3-0 down to 3-2, and Newcastle, knowing how things have gone recently, late goals conceded, not winning away from home, mentally that's a tough final 15 minutes if that second Ollie Watkins goal counts. It was Ollie Watkins, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was, but all in all, Newcastle really, really good value for the win, and I thought credit to Eddie Howe, he saw potential threats from Villa, nullified them with his changes, which I think people have called out for and potentially criticised Eddie Howe for in recent weeks. Tino Livramento maybe could have been on sooner, but yeah, good to see him on, and I thought to a man Newcastle were excellent tonight. I think special shout out of course to Fabian Schär, but Sven Botman back to his best following injury. Really, really good run of performances from him, really. And Kieran Trippier as well, exceptional down that right hand side. I thought defensively just won everything, aerially brilliant. His corners, 2 of the corners led to Newcastle goals as well. So yeah, really, really good performance. And if we're being honest, this hopefully is something that can help kickstart or get Newcastle's season back on track, because it was four defeats in a row in the Premier League heading into this game. This is a big win. But then you look at the Fulham game, okay, they didn't have the performance, they got the win. Man City last time out, very close to getting a draw. I think the last 4 games, even if you go back to the Sunderland game, actually, the performances have started to come back, even though, as we'll get on to now, the injuries just don't seem to keep ending for Eddie Howe's side. And Eddie Howe sort of recognised the problem when the question you asked him about Alexander Isak, and it just seems like whenever one striker in Callum Wilson is close to a return, the other one seems to get injured.
Yeah, I would like to. I'm trying to think off the top of my head when the last time Newcastle had both
fully fit anyway.
Isak and Wilson fit. I think the Nottingham Forest game, I think, was when Isak started and Wilson came off the bench. But yeah, for large
injured.
Yes, for large spells this season. Yeah, Eddie Howe's been crying out for 2 fit central strikers, and it doesn't look like he's going to get that for Saturday at least. He did say that he didn't think Isak's injury was too serious. It was actually the player himself who wanted to come off. I think Eddie Howe in many ways would have liked to have kept him on, but it was Isak's decision to come off. So yeah, hopefully it's good news on him. I think Callum Wilson should be. He said in there before that Callum Wilson is getting close, hasn't trained yet, but I think probably suggesting that if Isak, which I suspect will be out of Saturday now, you get Callum, you'll probably bring Callum Wilson back in. But is he fit enough to start? You might end up seeing Anthony Gordon lead the line at St James's Park on Saturday. But yeah, Anthony Gordon, I thought he led the line really well tonight. So yeah, I've got no qualms about that. I just hope long term, it isn't a serious injury for Isak, and they can get two strikers back fit. But I just think tonight it felt like a real. It could be season defining. Eddie Howe spoke in there about the FA Cup win at Fulham, almost keeping that cup dream alive. And I think tonight, it not keeps the season alive, but it certainly kicks it back into life. Back
to 7th, back in the European places for the time being, at least. Teams below them have games in hand, but looking at the table, it looks a whole lot healthier, and that's just what one win can do. Obviously, it's building blocks. You've got a big game against Luton Town at St James's Park, which if you don't win that, then
they've got to follow up.
It's a step back, isn't it? So yeah, it's about following up. But hey, 3-1 win at Villa Park. No team has beat Villa this season, so yeah, you can't complain, and it could be a catalyst for Newcastle's Premier League season, I think.
Yeah, I think it will be. Luton next up, home tie. I think it's in many ways you hope it's Newcastle's bread, but it has been for
looking good. Luton though, big wins.
Yeah,
big
it is. Yeah,
tonight.
not true. Yeah, I mean, was it 4-0 in the end?
4-0, yeah.
Incredible.
2-0 up after 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's no easy game. I sound like a manager saying there's no easy game in the Premier League, but it generally isn't. But I feel like Newcastle, when they get momentum behind them, it's dangerous, and they have managed to do that this season. But I think I feel look at my fears might be misplaced here, but I do feel there's a momentum starting to build again, and as we've seen under last season, the season before that, when Newcastle start to put a run of results together, they are dangerous. They've done it last year to get Champions League football. They've done it the year before to stay in the Premier League. So I think, even though we're waiting for further news on Isak, it sounds like Harvey Barnes is very close to coming back. Suggestions he could have actually been involved tonight, but it all came from a social media haircut, which that's something I found quite funny before the game.
He's returned to training, which is a big boost. So, don't know for sure. I'm sure Eddie Howe and his medical team will assess Harvey Barnes ahead of the weekend, but I'd say Harvey Barnes probably in contention for return, at least to the bench on Saturday. But hey, Miguel Almiron, Jacob Murphy, Anthony Gordon, the wingers, I thought came up trumps tonight. They were very good.
Yep, 100%. So, yeah, sure, I mean, I guess there'll be many fans out there even asked the question about, does Isak's injury, we don't know how long he's going to be out for yet, could be short term. Does that change transfer plans? Are Newcastle going to be active in the transfer market in the final couple of days? Well, the answer to that is, was it a no?
Fairly firm no, wasn't it?
I would say
ins or outs.
Extremely unlikely that Newcastle will strengthen. The fear of the last.
According to Eddie Howe, at least.
Yeah, and you got asked about funds anyway. I asked about funds, so there's the funds that go out and strengthen. And he said, I don't think so. So, didn't rule out an exit, but again, it does look extremely unlikely. It looks like Newcastle are going to stick with what they've got, which again I keep repeating myself, but I do think this squad, getting players back from injury, I do think Newcastle are capable of finishing in the European places, as we see tonight. Sort of one win gets you back in there. So it's really important now that Newcastle build on this momentum and really put a run together. And I do think they'll do that. New signings, we spoke at the start of the transfer window, would have loved new signings to inject a little bit of quality and energy in this team, but the narrative sort of changed towards the end of the window about players potentially going. Looks like they managed to keep hold of all the senior players. At least there might be a couple of youth outgoings. Isak Hayden, maybe, which he didn't.
Eddie Howe doesn't know what's going on with Isak Hayden. He said a couple of weeks ago that he'd be going out on loan. Didn't know if an agreement was in place, and then asked him again tonight because he said there probably wouldn't be any outgoings. And I was like, well, what about Isak Hayden? And he says he doesn't know what's happening with Isak Hayden, which 2 days before transfer deadline is interesting.
I think it just shows
he's just not part of Eddie Howe's plans, unfortunately.
Fans asking if Isak Hayden is the replacement for Bruno Guimaraes when he eventually gets his 2-game ban.
But it's a fragile situation, this midfield. As good as tonight's win was, look, Newcastle as it stands don't have a fit striker. You can say what you want about Anthony Gordon, he's a winger, and have really, let's be honest, 3 fit Premier League ready midfielders. And I'm not being kind to Lewis Miley. He is a Premier League ready midfielder, but he is 17 years old. So it's a Bruno suspension away from, again, a bit of a not a disaster, but a tough looking starting 11 for Newcastle United, where you go, it's threadbare. It's not just down to the bare bones. It's a little bit more than that almost.
Yeah, the Bruno Guimaraes injury away from Joe White potentially starting the Premier League game, who wasn't in the squad today. So Eddie Howe stayed true to his word about keeping him for the rest of the season and including his first team plan. So Joe White on the bench today, I don't think that'll be the last time this season. Obviously,
I think we'll see him before the end of the season, potentially.
Yeah, I think we will
quite soon.
Yeah, I think and there's different situations with Lewis Miley and Joe White, but I think Eddie Howe has shown certainly this season that definitely this season because of injuries that he's
forced him to a degree.
Yeah,
but he's certainly shown the faith in Lewis Miley, put faith in hhim. But then he's also said in an ideal world he wouldn't be playing Lewis Miley anywhere near as much as he has been.
Yeah, and I think for 17-year-old lad, obviously new deal for Lewis Miley the other day, which great to see because I think he's got a really big future. But I do think I don't want to be critical of Lewis Miley because he's only 17, but I think there was probably times in that second half where
an experienced head, a more experienced head would have potentially helped, and that's no slight on Lewis Miley.
No,
technically he's been brilliant, and he was very good tonight. He played a role in the third goal as well. I think release of Miguel Almiron or Anthony Gordon was it for
Gordon,
that interchange.
Yeah.
And it's just he's one of those players. He's 17. He's not fully grown, if you like. He's not an adult, so getting flogged, as a term we've used for a lot of players, him getting flogged is probably more detrimental to the player than other players, and Eddie Howe is well aware of that. So managing Lewis Miley will be important, and if the sooner Newcastle can get the likes of Joe Willock, Elliot Anderson, who still look like they're not going to be back in the immediate future in the next couple of games, but that's going to be really important. And at some point Bruno's going to be out for 2 games, so it's really something Eddie Howe will have to manage, and something that's going to come from Newcastle. But take nothing away from a really positive win tonight to get things certainly back on track in the Premier League, and things are looking a little bit more positive now, back in the European places, through to the last 16 of the FA Cup with a favourable cup draw against Blackburn Rovers. So in a month's time Newcastle could be, if they can keep this momentum up, looking quite pretty. But as we always say, it's just one win, we've got to build on it, and we'll be. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, to summarise, no signings, but 3 points tonight, and hopefully many more 3 points to come this season. As I say, I think just tonight is potentially season defining. It feels big, and look, you guys out there might feel differently, but to me, watching that at the end, the players go, the fans, it's been a while since I've seen that sight in the Premier League, and it feels like there's a feel-good factor back around the football club. As I say, when Newcastle United gets momentum under Eddie Howe, it usually leads to very good things. So it's a really good victory tonight, one that I didn't see coming. I do think Aston Villa will go on to get Champions League football, if I'm honest. I think, you look at probably Newcastle last season, they had a couple of results where they came here actually and got beat 3-0. So you do results in seasons.
You have blips.
Yeah, I'm banging on about Aston Villa here, but I'm trying to sort of sum up how big of that result that is, and how
performance more than anything. I thought.
That's a thing.
They bossed a very good Villa team tonight, for large part.
Yeah, they certainly did, and I'm feeling very positive after that. As I say, I didn't feel that on the way down, but no, into the last 16 of the FA Cup, back up to 7th in the Premier League. It just shows that for any people that were worried that Newcastle United season was a write-off or going to be a write-off, it shows that there's still a lot of life left in it, and this will all date very badly if Newcastle going lose to Luton Town on Saturday, but no, they shouldn't. As I say, I think tonight we could look back at this at the end of the season and go, that was.
It's the Leeds Elland Road win. Javier Manquillo.
Hopefully.
Never forget.
Yes. Shout out to Javier Manquillo. I think I don't think I've got anything else to say. I think I'm waffling again.
We'll be back. We'll see how things are. The state of players on deadline day. We might do a deadline day video, but if nothing's going to happen, we'll see. We'll gauge it. If people want us to do a Q&A or anything like that, let us know in the comments, and if there's a demand for it, we might do something. But as we sit here or stand here, it looks like it's going to be a very quiet one for Newcastle United, unless you're interested in under-21s players going out on loan.
You get your ticket. PSG want to give him away by the sounds of
Watch
it.
out for that. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be back, if not on Thursday, certainly on Friday, when me and Jordan will be at Eddie Howe's pre-match press conference ahead of the match back at St James's Park against Luton Town, looking to build on what has been a great 3 points here at Villa Park tonight. So yeah, do you want to do the honours, Jordan?
Yes. Like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell for your latest Geordie Journals content. And as Dom says, we'll see you on Friday back at the training ground where we'll be speaking to Eddie Howe.